What's going on, everybody? It's me, Mark, and I'm back again with another episode of Blerdkast. And today I have a very interesting cosplayer who I'm going to sit down and have an interview with. I've known her for a couple of years now, and I love every time we get together because we do the most amazing magic when it comes to cosplay photography. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah. I go by uncgwhoviangirl on Instagram and TikTok. I mostly use Instagram for my cosplay stuff, but every once in a while I'll throw a cosplay on TikTok. I've been cosplaying for, how many years has it been now? 6 years? I don't know. It seems like my whole life. I've been dressing up in costumes basically since birth. My grandma is a historical costume designer by trade. So she's been dressing me up basically since I was in utero. Like my first Ren Fair, I went to in utero and my mom was dressed up. Naturally, I got into cosplay when I started figuring out that I was, a nerd, a geek, or whatever you want to call it. And I started cosplaying when I was in college. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to get into all those good questions about your cosplay experience and everything. But what are some of your current projects that you are working on right now?
Oh my gosh. It seems like I have so many cosplans and most of them haven't even gotten off the ground yet. But right now I am working on what feels like my biggest, most ambitious cosplay yet, I guess I'll say. I'm working on a Mandalorian, but it's a mashup between a Mandalorian and a superhero. I don't want to give it away just yet because I kind of like waiting for the surprise reveal, but it's a superhero or supervillain, I guess you could say. He's complicated. Mashed up with a Mandalorian, and I'm having to learn about new techniques, new materials. I have to learn how to sand a 3D printed bucket helmet. That's going to be fun. Yeah, I'm in the middle of that right now.
That sounds like fun. That actually sounds like a lot of fun, no joke.
Yeah.
So what are you currently geeking out to? Whether it's comics, books, or TV shows, movies, what are you currently watching or indulging in geek culture?
So I'm really looking forward to starting season 5 of Outlander. I know season 6 just came out, but because Netflix is super far behind, I've been having to wait. No, season 5 is not on Outlander just yet, but I got access to it, so I'm going to start watching it soon, but I'm rewatching the rest of it first. I just started reading the Rise of Kyoshi book, plane the other day. I'm not really much of a reader, but I was on a plane, so I read it, and I'm like a third of the way through it, and I really need to find motivation to pick it back up because so far it's really good. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm watching right now. I watched Book of Boba Fett. That was pretty good.
I haven't gotten a chance to sit around and start watching that yet. The first episode was kind of drawn out and dragging a bit compared to The Mandalorian. So I'm going to just wait when I have some time to binge watch it one weekend. And I'm kind of jealous because I really want to get into the Book of Kyoshi stories of the novels. I hear they're very interesting, and they definitely open up her backstory a lot and explain a lot of things. And then the books just add more to the lore. I don't know if you know this, but the role-playing game of Avatar came out, I guess, a week or two ago, and everybody
I haven't heard yet.
Yeah, everybody in the Avatar community is talking about it, or I guess it's about to come out because the Kickstarter ended. So everybody that participated or donated, they're all talking about it and talking about how
have I not heard about this yet?
I just started a couple of days.
I must live under a rock.
I just started a couple of days ago, just seeing it show up on my YouTube feed, and I was like, oh, okay, let me just watch and see. And I've been just kind of drawn in ever since. It looks like you get to play in different eras of Avatar lives and like different sections of their lives, and like I said, it just adds a little bit more detail to the backstory and some of the characters, and even introduces a few new characters. So I think that's very interesting. And of course,
you know what platform it's going to be on?
I do not know. I'll have to look that up, but I'm definitely probably going to do an episode about it on my YouTube channel. So it'll be.
I'll have to look into that because I don't have a desktop or a computer that can run like bigger games because I don't have like the video card for it. And I don't have like a PlayStation or an Xbox or anything, or a Switch. But if it's on my phone, I could play it that way.
I think I want to say it's a tabletop board game or something.
Okay, I thought it was a video game. Okay, cool.
But I'm not 100% sure. But I definitely, when I sit around and start doing the research for the video I'm going to do, I'll have all the information there.
Okay, I'll have to look into that. That'll be cool.
So in your intro, you said that you basically have been cosplaying or been dressing up in cosplay your whole life because of your grandmother, and you basically been a geek your entire life. Tell me, what are some of your earliest memories of geek culture? Like, do you remember how you was introduced into it?
So my parents were big sci-fi nerds growing up, and so I tried to resist it as much as I could because I thought it was like lame if you like the same stuff your parents like. They were like OG Star Trek fans. My dad was an OG Star Wars fan. Battlestar Galactica. My dad cosplays Battlestar Galactica characters. But then when I was in like middle school, I finally did it. And I got into Doctor Who, which was my first fandom other than Avatar, because we all watched Avatar casually when we were kids. So my first real nerd fandom when I really started embracing actually being a nerd was I got really into Doctor Who when I was in like middle school, and that was just probably a year or two after the reboot came out in 2007. So I was a big Whovian nerd, hence my username, because that was my first fandom. My mom was into Doctor Who. Her doctor was 4, Tom Baker. And then my doctors were 10 and 11, David Tennant and Matt Smith. Of course, when Matt Smith was the doctor, I was in high school. So, of course, I was like fangirling over him because we all thought he was cute, But I was that weird nerdy girl in middle school and high school who like celebrated the Silence Day with the tally marks on my arms and stuff, and like I'd wear a fez to school periodically. But yeah, that was my first fandom, Doctor Who for sure.
Okay. How did you get introduced into Avatar? I know it was out on Nickelodeon. But I have a bunch of questions I want to ask you about that.
Yeah, I mean, we all watched it on Nick when we were kids. I mean, when I was, I must have been like 7 when it came out, and I was convinced that I was a waterbender. And we used to play waterbender in the pool, and like I remember like painting like bending scrolls and stuff. Sorry, can I swear on this show? I tend to do that. I have to stop myself if I'm not allowed to.
Go for it.
Okay, cool. Because like one of my favorite sayings is "and shit," and I have to change it to "and stuff" if I'm censoring myself. Anyways, so yeah, we like everyone watched it when we were kids on Nickelodeon. I was a Nick kid up until like age 10 when I switched to Disney Channel. So yeah.
Okay, cool. What is your favorite aspects about the Avatar series that you like so much?
Oh my gosh. Well, Avatar: The Last Airbender is just so well written. It covers so many big topics for, a kid's show, which we all know it's not a kid's show, but it was intended for kids. And it covers huge topics. I mean, it covers like parental abuse, it covers like governmental brainwashing, all those big tough topics. And we didn't even realize we were being exposed to that when we were kids. And I think it was really good for us to watch a show that was that complex.
What are some of your other favorite franchises or series that you like outside of Doctor Who and Avatar?
Yeah, so I like DC, I like Marvel. Of course, I picked up DC first, and then during the pandemic, during 2020 lockdown, I watched all the MCU movies and got into that. I'm casually dipping my toes into Star Wars with The Mandalorian. It kind of got me into it more. It's one of my dad's big fandoms, so I never really got too into it. But I mean, I love Baby Yoda. I fucking love Baby Yoda. I can't. So I had to watch it, and now Baby Yoda's on one of my car stickers, and he's on my posters in my room, and I love him. And now I'm making a Mando because I thought it'd be really fun to mash up with this other character I'm doing, which is a supervillain. Outlander. I really love Victoria. I watch Victoria every year around the holidays, and the actress who plays Victoria was one of the Doctor Who companions, which I think is really cool. Fun fact. See, it's been a while since I've had an anime that's held me. The last anime that I watched that held me was Girls in Panzer, which I thought was really fun because I play paintball and I actually have a paintball tank. So like those little stupid relatable moments are really fun. I made my dad watch some of it too because he built our tank. He's on our tank crew. Let's see. My first anime was SAO. So that'll always have a place in my heart. I used to cosplay Asuna from SAO. I love that cosplay, but it's currently in shambles. It's a long story. Clannad was one of my other first animes, and I have a Clannad cosplay. Not that I wear it very often, but I've worn it once, actually, come to think of it. Let's see. I think there's some I'm forgetting. What am I forgetting? Anyway, some of my other cosplans that aren't really happening right now are Outlander and Rain. I wanted to do a Rain cosplay and I bought a whole bunch of supplies for it and then it didn't really happen yet for various reasons.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and Hook, of course, Hook. I grew up on that movie and now I cosplay a female version of Rufio and I got to meet Dante Bosco recently and oh my gosh, it was amazing.
It wasn't at Dragon Con last year, was it?
No.
Okay.
I wore Rufio to Dragon Con last year. I got to meet Dante Bosco recently at a con in Virginia, Big Lick Comic Con. It was a smaller con, but it was great because I got to meet him and like talk to him and he did a Q&A and it was really fun.
Okay, cool. So tell me about your family life. Back at Dragon Con 2021, I got the pleasure of meeting your father, and he was in cosplay, and I just found that to be so adorable that father and daughter get to cosplay together. And that just kind of made me want to add you to my list of interviews I was going to do for my podcast series, because I think that's so interesting that you grew up with geek parents who allowed you to express yourself being a geek, and you cosplay together. That's so awesome. So tell me more about that.
So my dad and I cosplay together. We don't have a ton of cosplays that like go together, but that's okay. We're really a cosplay family because my grandma is his mom. She's the one who does all the sewing for our cosplays. She makes most of his cosplays because neither of us can sew, but he, like I wouldn't be where I am now with my cosplays. I wouldn't have the cosplays I have if it wasn't for the help from my grandma and my dad, because my dad has taught me so much about like prop making, resin casting. He helps me out with cosplays that require heavy machinery. I'm very lucky to have a dad who is a machinist. He's a metal worker. So he has a machine shop in his shop in his backyard. And he's got a 1940s milling machine, the Bridgeport. And we've used it to make 2 swords together. He also has, all these other tools that he helps me with. So when I was struggling to figure out how to cut my bamboo for my Rufio collar, he was like, well, what other tools do I have? And we settled on an angle grinder. Not the safest option, but you know what? It did the job. It worked really well. Bamboo is surprisingly hard to cut. But yeah, and so he and I have made 2 swords together. We made Austin's sword a couple years ago, and then we made Rufio's sword. Rufio's sword is far better. We have learned so much from making that first sword, and between the 2 swords, epoxy resin has its downfalls. The newer blade, the newer one, Rufio's sword is made out of a urethane resin, which is so much better. Oh my gosh! But it's so hard to work with because you have to work with it super quick because it's got like a 3-minute full cure time. I think, or like 10 minutes. It might be a 3-minute pop time, but you have to work with it super quick. And when you're working with something as big as a blade, even like a small blade like Rufio's, like you have to work with it super quick. But anyways, yeah. So my dad, he cosplays a lot of old Battlestar Galactica characters from the 70s Battlestar. So he does Commander Kane. He does a Starbuck, of course. I was his first one. He does Baltar, and what's the blue one? Kane, I forget. It's the blue one with the blue cape. He has a lot of majestic capes, and I'm very jealous. But he also he cosplays Smee from Hook. So that's one that we get to do together, which is really fun. So I cosplay Rufio, and he cosplays Smee. And we've worn that to a couple cons together. We went to Ren Fair together on Time Travelers Weekend, and that was so much fun. We were getting compliments like left and right. And we went to go see the mermaids together in cosplay because I don't know how many people know this, but there was a deleted scene that was like an Easter egg that never saw the light of day, where it was like an after the story scene where Smee is in a rowboat with the 3 mermaids and they're like feeding him grapes or something. And I was like, well, we have to go see the mermaids because of that scene, that one scene that's not even like a real thing. So we went to go see the mermaids, and the mermaids fangirled over us because they loved the movie and they were just so excited to see us as those characters. And we got pics with the mermaids, all socially distanced pics, and it was great. It was it was so much fun going to Ren Fair together. and we did a little photo shoot together before the opening of the Ren Fair. And when they did the opening ceremony, we made my dad do the "Good Morning Neverland," and that was he was so nervous, but like he wanted to do it. He had been saying for like a year he was going to do it, and then he tried to chicken out last minute, and we were like, "Nah, we ain't letting you chicken out. You're doing this." And it was great. But yeah, we got to meet Dante Bosco together as me and Rufio, and he even put us on his Instagram story. That was so cool. Yeah, and then what other ones? My dad has a couple of casual cosplays. Like we both have done a Meatballs cosplay together, a casual cosplay. Meatballs is a movie from the 70s with Bill Murray in it. A lot of people don't know it, but I grew up on that movie. And so my dad does Mickey or Morty, and then I do just like a CIT or a camper with the Camp North Star t-shirt. And I've got this giant sign that says, "It just doesn't matter." And I love carrying that around Dragon Con because that's like the one con where people will get it. Oh, and my dad does Klinger from MASH too. That's one of his big ones. He has won more than one big big contest, I think, with Klinger. He hasn't brought Klinger, I don't think, to Charlotte Comic-Con yet. I think it's the one he hasn't brought to that one because for a while he didn't think that North Carolina, like a small con like that, was ready for Klinger. But I think they're ready. Everyone loves Klinger. I mean, we get such great public reaction from that cosplay. I think that's all of his cosplays. His Instagram username is BSG, as in Battlestar Galactica, Warrior Cosplay. Not that he posts on there very often because I'm in charge of handling his Instagram, and to be honest, I'm not very good at it. I keep forgetting to post stuff for him, but the man doesn't understand hashtags, so I have to do it for him.
Oh, okay. So let's get into your cosplay life. You said that you started cosplaying back in college. What was your first cosplay?
Oh gosh, so technically my first cosplay, we don't really talk about it much, but I'd like to forget about it because it was not good, was a Weeping Angel from Doctor Who, and I got to meet John Barrowman in it, and that story is I'm less enthusiastic about it just because the cosplay was so bad. I tried to make it while I was working at a residential Girl Scout camp that summer. So it was between high school and college. I made it while on my breaks there, and I tried to sew it and make wings and the face paint. And then when we got to the con, it was after my parents picked me up from camp at the end of the summer, and then we drove down to Boston 2 hours. And then I had to do all the face paint there in the public bathroom, and so I skipped my arms, which was a mistake. So the picture looks awful, but it's fine. I like to say that my first cosplay is my Black Canary because that one I'm much more positive about. That one I did because I was into Arrow at the time, but I didn't really like the Arrow version of Black Canary, and I was I'll do the comic version instead because I like her outfit better, and I didn't really like that portrayal of her in Arrow personally, either version. Anyways, and I decided to do that because that was 2 years later. So some of my dad's friends actually invited us to go to Dragon Con. And so it'd been 2 years since I've been to any con, let alone a bigger con like Dragon Con. And, I went to Dragon Con with this 1.5 cosplay. I had a casual Pokemon trainer cosplay. And, I just fell in love with Dragon Con. And I saw so many just amazing cosplays there, and I was yeah, I could get into this. And of course my grandma was thrilled because she loves making me costumes. She made me costumes for Halloween a lot of the years over the years, and I loved competing in costume contests because I did that for Halloween whenever I could. And for a couple years, 3 years in high school, I competed in a costume contest at a penguin plunge event where we all ran into the frozen Vermont lake to raise money to raise funds for Special Olympics. So I had kind of gotten into making costumes for that. The second year I did that, I was an igloo. So I took a hoop skirt and I painted it, and I was an igloo. And I had a t-shirt that I painted that said igloo rentals 25 cents or whatever. And I won that year. And then the year after that, I was an ice queen. And my grandma repurposed an ice blue like 50s prom dress with a hoop skirt under it and everything. And I attached lights to it, and I made this icicle crown. Like, I made this icicle crown out of nothing but wire, hot glue, and like paint. And it turned out really well, I think, honestly. And then I didn't win because that was the year they changed voting to Facebook likes. And so some college kids won. But that's okay. But that was like how I got into like making costumes, really, was like near the end of high school. Yeah.
Okay. So I asked this to a lot of cosplayers who I work with. Obviously you enjoy making your cosplays. You don't buy too many pieces of your cosplays because you can just make it yourself.
So it depends. Like, it depends if it's like a costume I put, like a cosplay I'm planning on competing in, or if it's just something I want to do for fun. So like if it's a casual or just something I want to just throw together. Because like when I first started cosplaying, that's what I did mostly, like with Black Canary, was I hunted down the perfect pieces and put it together. And I really think there's value in that. Like, all types of cosplay are valid. And purchased, or if you purchase pieces and put it together, or if you purchase some and make some, whatever. I mean, all cosplay is valid.
When it comes to making cosplay, what is your favorite method of making cosplay?
That's hard to say. So for each big cosplay I do, I really try to learn something new. I try to work with a new material or learn a new technique or something. I can't really sew to save my life. I don't own a sewing machine. My dad does, but I don't. I am mechanically challenged, so I can't even set one up, but I can hand sew. I'm frequently sewing holes in my comforter, and I can sew pieces onto pieces. I'm always sewing my bones back onto my Rufio vest because they're always falling off because of that clear fishing thread I use for it. But I mean, I'm basically trying to learn just about every material I can over the years, except for fabric. My grandma does my fabric builds because I don't think I'll ever get to that level that's up to my standards, because the bar has been set so high by my grandma. I mean, she's a pro. Like, for the fabric pieces, grandma does that. So for this Mando I'm building, he has a cape. So grandma's doing the cape and I am doing the rest. So let's see, resin casting is fun. So my dad and I built 2 swords out of resin casting. Clay foam is cool. I made all those bones out of clay foam. I learned about sewing wefts into wigs. I've been learning more about wig styling over the years. Let's see, of course, right now I'm working with Worbla. I'm using the Worbla foam sandwich method for my armor. I know a lot of Mandos use Sintra or they'll use real metal, but I chose to go with something I was a bit more familiar with, which was Worbla. Kyoshi's headpiece is actually a piece of signboard from a ski area, which isn't really a thermoplastic, but I made it a thermoplastic. It's not meant to be heated, but I did it anyways. I love working with makeup and face paint. That's definitely something I've learned more about over the years. Like when I was in high school, I got really into learning about makeup from YouTube and stuff. And so, I know some people don't it's not something that comes naturally to them, but I feel like makeup kind of comes naturally to me. Like, I don't wear it every day, but when I'm trying to throw an eye look together for a cosplay, it's pretty easy. And I can do eyeliner, which is a hard thing for a lot of people. And I remember for a long time it was very hard for me to do my eyeliner, but I figured it out. And I like putting a lot of thought into small details. Like, all of my cosplays have different lashes because I think that makes a difference.
Actually, I've noticed that last year. I was like, wait a minute, because you I know what you look like without cosplay and makeup, but then
I'm a shapeshifter.
Right. I'm like, wait a minute, you're like a different, complete person every time I see you, whether you're in cosplay or a different cosplay, or you just your normal dress up.
Yep.
I have a funny story to tell you. So I had a small conversation with your grandmother.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she told you, for the audience members, go to my YouTube channel. Sarah is the Kyoshi Warrior cosplayer that I introduced and is the main person in my Avatar The Last Airbender The Legend of Korra photo shoot vlog. Go there, watch the video. It's an amazing video. Sarah did a great job setting up that photo shoot. But one of the comments was from your grandmother, and she was just,
oh my gosh,
please, like, oh my god, thank you for showing my granddaughter, and I helped her make this cosplay and it looks amazing. And I was like, oh my god, your grandmother loves you to pieces.
Grandma deserves so much credit for that Kyoshi Warrior cosplay. I mean, the only thing I made on that was the bracers, the headpiece, and the makeup, like, and choosing the accessories, but like she made everything else. So she made it's a tunic, a skirt, and then the pleather armor, so she gets all the credit for that.
Wow, that must have taken, well, you say your grandmother's a pro, so she probably did it in her sleep and was like, look at this, and you just like, it's perfect, I have no notes.
Pretty much. Like, we don't even get to do fittings, like, ever, because she lives in Connecticut and I live in North Carolina, so we sometimes struggle with skirt length. That seems to be an issue, is skirt length. Like, I had to have Kyoshi's skirt hemmed by my friend.
Oh, okay.
And Asana's white skirt was always too short. But that's okay. We're hoping to get her down here sooner rather than later, though, which will make fittings a lot more easy. But yeah, she's a pro. Like, I don't know how she does it. She just, I know she procrastinates, though, just like the rest of us. Like, I will give her a year or two to work on the cosplay, and she'll get it done in the last 3 months before the con. Because that's how grandma is.
Well, hey, as long as she gets it done, I think that's all that matters. And obviously, she loves you. You're her granddaughter. You can tell the craftsmanship that goes into that, to the work. Like, even if you can look at, while I'm talking, like that, your Kyoshi Warrior cosplay is always part of my marketing branding for Blerdography, because
I love that picture.
I love it too, and I'm like, I have to put this everywhere that I'm posting and branding myself. I have to put this picture on there. And you have some other ones from last year I need to work on and actually add to the cycle of new things. Because like all your cosplay is amazing. Like, thanks. I don't think I've seen one cosplay that you've done that like was not to the 9s and 10s.
I mean, some of my older ones, like first edition Kyoshi, had some issues, but like it's fine. Like I like to do throwbacks sometimes of that, just to like look at my progress. Like, I made a TikTok a little while ago that was a trend of like watching my like baby cosplay me grow up, and like, oh my gosh, like first Dragon Con Black Canary, but then I made her better. Like, after like a year or two, I upgraded pieces of her. Like, there's like, proper undergarments really make a difference, I swear. Like, that one made, like, I got a different corset for it, and that made the biggest difference. And I got a better wig for it, and that made a huge difference. And I started doing my makeup a little differently, and I did like a Poison Ivy crossover version of her, and that was really fun. But yeah, some of my older ones there's a reason why I don't post that first one, that Weeping Angel. I don't post that for a reason. But we all had to start somewhere.
Right, everybody has to start somewhere. So let me ask you this: out of your current cosplay collection that you have, what is your favorite that you like to wear, and what is your most iconic that you are most recognized in?
Oh gosh, like that is the hardest question. Like, you don't know how many times on dating apps the first thing a guy messages me is, what's your favorite cosplay? And I never know what to say. I just say that like they're all great in different ways. The truth is they're all uncomfortable in different ways, but that's just the truth of cosplay. I don't know. So I guess the one I'm most recognizable for is probably my Kyoshi Warrior, because I've been wearing that for a couple years now, and that one was like my first really like striking one. That was just really like the first one I was really, really proud of. Well, I was really proud of Asuna. Asuna was really good, especially in pictures. Up close, her armor had some issues. If I ever remade it, I would definitely do the armor a little differently. I still have it just in case like I have some ideas of like how I might be able to save it. But I'd have to like strip it completely down to its base and try to get the cracks out of the foam itself with a heat gun. And then I would find a different way to attach it in the back, because the back it used to like attach actually with white duct tape. But I don't know, because like Rufio is so much fun because I mean I love cosplays with props because it makes posing so easy and I love the character and I'm just so proud of like the amount of stuff, like the percentage of things on that I made myself. But my Kyoshi Warrior is definitely one of my more award-winning ones that like I have all my awards up on my wall in my living room and she's got quite a few. I mean, I have one that I haven't brought out since COVID for obvious reasons that I love doing. Killer Frost is so much fun. Because...
I was about to bring her up. I was about to ask you about her because you mentioned props, and one of my favorite use of props was the vape you used for the Killer Frost outfit.
Yeah. So that's a practical effect that's actually really simple. It's just clear PVC tubing that goes up my arm, underneath my sleeve, and up to my mouth. And I have a mentholated, like straight menthol mint vape that I use to blow into the tube, and it goes out my hand. So it makes it look like I'm shooting frost out my hands. And that one is just so much fun, especially when it's cold out. Because when it's like cold out, or like you can act like it makes my lungs actually feel icy because it's a mentholated vape. And that is so much fun, but I haven't brought her out since COVID for obvious reasons, because, you know, that's basically weaponizing the germs in my lungs. So that's
right.
But that one is so much fun just because it makes you feel in character when you've got something like that.
So what has been your most, I'm assuming it's the vaporizer, the vaporizer. But outside of that, what has been your most favorite prop to use in a cosplay? Because I have mine.
Well, okay, so I'm very proud of our sword, the Rufio sword. I mean, I'm very proud of it. I think it turned out really well. Dante Bosco confirmed it's the right length. But I just love my Kyoshi fans. Like, everyone loves the fans because they're just so loud.
Yes,
and like,
yes. I was hoping
I've scared children before. Like, they're so loud. Like, I've literally scared children that weren't expecting it before.
Like, I love that. Like, it's so satisfying hearing that when you do it and you just go into your Kyoshi Warrior pose. That's why I put it at the end of the vlog, because I'm like, I want to have this just so whenever I get sad or lonely and I'm like, I miss cons and all this and that, I'm gonna play the end of that and just play it on repeat because it's so satisfying. But yes, that's why that Kyoshi Warrior, I mean, the Kyoshi Warrior cosplay is amazing in itself. And it's just, like I said, the level of detail and work and craftsmanship that has gone into that cosplay, is like my favorite. When I think of cosplayers and just everybody who I've done work with, it's your cosplay's Kyoshi Warrior, and M'Baku that I'm looking at. And a friend of mine named Matt, he does a lot of Power Rangers and things. So like you're like definitely number one on my cosplay list, and then the M'Baku cosplayer is number two. Sometimes y'all switch back and forth, but I just like every time I see, like, even on your Instagram, funny story, because I heard this from another cosplay photographer that he gets jealous when he sees his clients or cosplayers go out and shoot with other photographers. I'm like, no, I love it, because like I just love seeing how other people use their artistic skill to show off the same cosplay. And your Kyoshi Warrior cosplay has some stunning pictures from very different cosplay photographers, different settings, even from the same con. Like, I've seen my work against other people's work at Dragon Con of that same cosplay, and I'm like, I can't even get mad. Like, that's such a great cosplay. It needs to be shown in every which way that it can.
Like I have a lot of pictures I love of my Kyoshi Warrior, but one of my favorites was taken that same day, like around the same exact time that you took that one, I'm pretty sure, unless it was the year before, but I think it was the same year. Oh, shoot, who took that picture? Let me find it. I gotta give them credit, because like they also do videography. They make the cosplay music videos at Dragon Con every year.
Beatdown Boogie?
No, not Beatdown Boogie, but I have made some of their videos at Dragon Con before. They're actually from Greensboro. Oh, Mineral Blue. Okay. Mineral BLU. One of my favorite pictures of my Kyoshi Warrior, other than like that one for sure, was from Dragon Con. And I think it was that same year. And that one's just so striking, just the colors. But yeah, like every photographer I work with is all very different, and I've been meaning to make like a long-winded post about it, about like posing and stuff. about like how different photographers do it, because every photographer is so different. Like not only just like the outcome of how the pictures turn out, but just how they work with cosplayers. Like I've got this one photographer I've worked with a lot, Ice Dragon, and he is a very hands-on photographer for posing, and I don't mind that because I struggle to figure out what is forward, back, left, and right, and where to put my limbs. And he will like literally take my arm and move it 2 inches to the right, and I am totally cool with that. He's a great kid, and he does such great work. I know he hasn't been doing as much photography lately. He's been more focusing on his car stuff. But he's awesome. And then I've got another photographer, Pat, who's from North Carolina. She lives in Charlotte, and I've worked with her a couple of times. And some of my favorite Rufio pictures, she's taken 2 separate like shoots. She did some of my favorite pictures with Rufio, and her pictures just always turn amazing. But she's not quite so hands-on, but she's still like, just, I don't know how she gets these shots. They're just amazing. I don't have that photographer's eye that y'all have, but like, oh my gosh, like her pictures like just turn out so good with the colors and just everything. But all the photographers I've ever worked with are all very different.
Okay. Let's talk about that for a little bit, because that's actually something that I've been curious about, because I don't cosplay, but I wonder, like, I'm a cosplay photographer, so obviously I try to get in the mind of my clientele. What goes through your mind when you're at a con and you're looking for a cosplay photographer to do your cosplay any justice? Like, do you just take a chance and go with anybody who has a camera? Do you try to research the photographer before you like? Yeah,
so I usually try to plan my shoots out well before a con. I'm the kind of person who will plan stuff like literally like 6 months in advance, but I like to plan things way ahead of time. And usually I'll like find a photographer through Instagram, and if I like their stuff and I can afford their rates, then I'll book a shoot with them. Yeah, usually just if I like their previous work. Like I think I just like stumbled into you somehow at Dragon Con. I'm pretty sure that's how we met, I think.
Yeah, I remember it was 2000. I think it was 2019. Maybe it was a year earlier, because I think I'd done some other stuff with you and forgot that it was you.
Maybe. I know you did our shoot with the last tiers of CW, right?
Yes, I did the CW shoot, Arrowverse shoot, where you did Krill
So we
Frost.
must have like I must have found you on Instagram or Facebook or something then, because I was trying to find photographers for that shoot because I was organizing it.
Right. And then we did the first Avatar Last Airbender shoot earlier that year first, and then we did the CW shoot, and I think we did something else that year. I think I only had 2 that I organized. No, you didn't cosplay as Dr. Girlfriend that year, did you?
No.
Okay, no. So that was somebody else. So I think you might have found me on some Facebook group or something. That
probably, because I know the first couple years the first year or 2 I organized shoots at Dragon Con, I didn't know as many photographers, and so I had to like find them on Instagram and like figure out who could do the shoot, because I know like it can be kind of hard to find photographers for Dragon Con shoots because they have to be free because of the Dragon Con rules.
Right.
And a lot of cosplayers won't work for free, which a lot of photographers won't work for free, and I totally understand that. But the Dragon Con rules, as you know, like Dragon Con says that you can't charge for shoots that are on their property. And so I just had to like hunt for them on Facebook. But now I know some, so now it's easier.
Right. Well, that's good. That's good. And there are ways around the Dragon Con rule, but I won't get into that now because I want to keep going to Dragon Con doing what I do.
Well, the big group shoots kind of like have to be like, there's not really a way around it, I don't think.
Well, yeah, that's understandable. There's no way around that. And even for me, like, because I've tried to find ways to monetize the free shoots and stuff.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I'd rather just get the exposure from that and just the exposure of being an unofficial con photographer, because that makes your, like, I guess, reputation in the cosplay community kind of go up, which is what I'm noticing. And then like in the case of the avatar shoot, sometimes you just find some cosplays you like, a shoot you like, and you're like, you know what, it doesn't even matter about the money because I'm gonna do this anyway. And that's the case with the avatar shoot. That's the case with Black Geeks of Dragon Con for me now. I just like working with certain people, so that's just kind of how my approach is gone. And I've even noticed since 2017, I say, especially at Dragon Con, I went from let me focus on making money to let me just focus on being better at doing cosplay photography and just networking with other people. And that, you know, has worked out in a long way in itself too. And then, you know, like I meet great cosplayers like yourself who get around. You have no problem sharing the work, especially if the work is good and worth sharing. You always credit the photographers. You
always
look out for us in every shape, way, form, or fashion, and you hit me up every year for something. So I have no problem like working with you, and I'm grateful that you like my work.
You always do such great work.
As an artist, I know I can be in my head about stuff a lot, but then when I'm like just in my element, which Dragon Con is like me in my element, I'm like, okay, I know exactly how I'm gonna treat this. I know how I'm gonna do this. I have the, you know how I am. I can be kind of anal at times about like planning for the shoots, especially the bigger group shoots.
No, I appreciate that. Like I'm a planner. Like I like having things like events and stuff like all planned out. Like I have a vacation I'm planning for December for New Year's that I'm like already like trying to plan all of it about, because like I'll hyperfixate on stuff, especially like events and stuff, and I'll like hyperfixate on planning whatever it is. But like I also just like appreciate like how like you're really good at like giving directions and like organizing us at like our group shoots, like for Avatar. Like I kind of let you take over, whereas some other photographers will let the person who's organizing the shoot do like all of the organizing there with like the posing and groupings, and I just prefer to let you do that because you're the one with the camera.
I'm gonna tell you a secret. I don't know if this is gonna help or hurt me. I plan for stuff, but I don't like planning. But when it comes to the Avatar shoot, as soon as we're done, I'm planning the next year's shoot in my head. Just because I'm already a super fan of the show. I already love every cosplayer that shows up here just because they're dressed in an Avatar cosplay. So I'm planning it in my head. Like I have 2022 all planned out.
Man, you know what you should plan? You should plan to go to Cabbage Con. I know I just sent you that today, but I am so excited for that.
I'm glad you shared that with me. I would love to go to Cabbage Con. Why don't you explain to our audience what it is?
So I just found out about this like last week. There is a con that's getting started up. That's going to take place. I think the last like March 30th, first weekend of April next year in Ohio, in Columbus, and it is an Avatar con, just Avatar. And it's their first year doing it. Like people organizing it have organized other cons before, but this is the first one that they're putting on, the first Avatar con. And they just launched their Kickstarter for it yesterday. And so far, it's like $12,000 out of $15,000 funded. I pledged to do like $100 for it or whatever, because that was the tier that got me a weekend pass and a t-shirt and some swag, and I wanted the t-shirt. But they just launched their Kickstarter, and they're almost there, but it's kind of stalled out today. They made a lot of progress yesterday on their first day, but they've got till I think April 14th to raise the 15,000 that they need to get it going. And they haven't put like a lot out yet about like if they're gonna have guests or whatever. And I know they're still in the beginning stages of planning everything, but like I've reached out to them and asked them if they need somebody to help like organize group shoots, because like I know how Dragon Con organizes their group shoots, and I'd be willing to like set up the Google Doc and the spreadsheet. I love me a good spreadsheet. And I'm willing to help organize that if they need some help, because I'd love to see this con do well and have lots of people there. And I just think it's got such great like it's just begging for some awesome group shoots, because like we could do like a group shoot for each nation. We could do the Kyoshi Warriors all together. I'm trying to get some Kyoshi Warriors to go. There's so many there's so many good possibilities for how we could do group shoots with avatar characters.
Right, exactly.
Oh my gosh,
I
so
think that's gonna be an
excited.
amazing con to go to. I'm excited too, and I just shared it on my social media, so hopefully that can help get some more awareness to it, because I have a lot of Avatar friends who love it and would love to see something like this. And obviously, if there's an Avatar con out there in the world somewhere, I'm gonna find a way to go to it. I'm just have a ball. Avatar is getting kind of like that thing where I do with Power Rangers, where every time I see someone dressed up as an Avatar character, I have to give them a free photo shoot, because it's just like my thing. Like anyone that knows me knows, if you cosplay as a Power Ranger, you are guaranteed a free 3-hour long photo shoot with me, just because I like Power Rangers, and Avatar is like up there now. So that's
and it's
fun shoot to go to.
And Avatar has been making like a huge comeback since it got put on Netflix. Like there's so many more Avatar cosplayers now, and like it's made its way back to like the forefront of like pop culture, and I just love that, because like new kids are getting into it. Like we grew up on it on Nickelodeon, but now there's new kids getting into it because their parents watched it. Like, I mean, my brother was a huge Avatar nerd, and he's 5 years older than me, so he's got a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I don't think they've watched it just yet, but I bet you they're gonna have to watch it soon, because we're gonna have to get them into it.
It will be mandatory in my household for my kids to watch. Like the things that I grew up watching is mandatory. It's just gonna have to happen.
Yep. I mean, that's how I ended up doing a Logan's Run cosplay. I mean, I grew up watching that movie and Meatballs too, but like those are 70s movies that my parents saw when they were like teenagers. They saw those movies in the theater, and then we had it in VHS tape and then later DVD growing up, and then I grew up loving those movies. Like, and then all of a sudden when I was like, gosh, how old was I think I was like 19, 20 when I first started cosplaying Logan's Run. I started cosplaying a Green from Logan's Run because I was the age to be a Green. For those who don't know, in this sci-fi awful but great movie from the 70s, there's different colors based on your age group, and it goes yellow, green, and red. And you turn red at 24. And I first started cosplaying as a Green, and then I turned 24, and I was like, oh my god, I'm old. And then I felt like I had to start cosplaying a red, so I made a red for that one too, and I wore that to DragonCon 1, and I really like that cosplay. That was purchased, but I really like it. And there's not a lot of people who cosplay that fandom, and none of them cosplay their actual age color, because most of them are over 30. And for those who don't know, when you hit 30, you die in the movie. You can't live past 30. So I'm gonna be red for a couple more years, and then I don't know what I'm gonna do. I guess I'll just stay red forever.
All right, so we're getting to the end of the interview. There were some other questions I want to ask you. We kind of got sidetracked a little bit talking about Avatar.
Sorry, I do that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I love it when the interview kind of goes off hinge and we just make it really a personal conversation. I think that kind of goes over well. But I wanted to ask you, one, what is your favorite thing about cosplaying? And two, you mentioned that you do cosplay competitions, and I want to go a little bit more into that.
Okay, so I think the best thing about cosplay is just that you get to like grow in yourself while being someone else. I know that kind of makes no sense, but like when you're cosplaying a confident character, you kind of get confidence from that character. Like it rubs off on you. And I think that over the years, especially with competitions, but like in general, just building my skills over the years kind of helps with my confidence. And I think it's just helped me become a more confident person in general. Also, just making friends. You can make friends through cosplay. I mean, my dad, he's one of those natural networking people. Like wherever he goes, he's networking and making friends everywhere. But like, I can't walk around cons with him because every 5 minutes he stops to talk to somebody and make a new friend. And that's just how he is. But yeah, competitions, you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So why do you like doing cosplay competitions? And like, what is your most memorable competition, I guess, where you went and think you wasn't going to win, and then you came out winning everything?
I'm just a naturally competitive person. That's just kind of how I am. And I understand that not everybody is like that, and not everybody likes competing, and they find it scary, or they don't like the pressure, or like, I know So the thing that actually first exposed me to cosplay was this awful reality show when I was in high school, called Heroes of Cosplay. And I know it got a lot of bad press within the cosplay community because it made cosplay look like it was all about the competition and it was all cutthroat and it was all drama. And that's not how it is most of the time. And I try to stay far away from any drama in the cosplay community. It's not like that. And I understand that like some people don't want to risk getting into that. But I mean, I personally just like competing. I like the validation, I guess, that when I win something, I'm like, oh, I guess I did a good job. Because, you know, we're all our worst critics. We'll all pick out that tiny little thing in a picture or that tiny little thing in a cosplay that we wish we could have done better or we would have done differently. Or, you know, we're all our worst critics. And then sometimes the judges won't even see that, even when they're really good judges. I think one of my favorite memories or like videos to look back on is from Queen City Anime Con 2018? I think it was 2019. I was doing my Kyoshi Warrior and there's a video that's like not really great quality, but I just love it because it was like the first one where I got my movements on stage just right. It was smooth. It came out good. The stage was great. And it was like a nice wide and like long stage, so it had room to do all my movements. And then it also has steps right in front of it. And then so you walk down the steps, and then you walk down in the middle through the crowd, like down the center row towards the camera. But I couldn't find pictures later. But and like out through the back, and it was kind of a smaller ballroom, and the cheering was just like deafening. And of course, while I was doing it, I couldn't hear anything because I tuned it out. But like looking back on the video, like you can really tell just how insanely deafening the cheering was. And the way that they had the spotlight shining on me at the time when I did my final pose in the middle of the crowd, all you can see is just this huge glare like shine off of my headpiece. And it was just like, it's just so cool to look back on it. Like, how perfect was that? And then I didn't think I was going to win anything because I was kind of skirting around their made the whole thing yourself rule, like I was trying to do back then. So like, and like during pre-judging, the judges kind of like, it felt like they were just ripping me apart because they were like telling me that I need to just like learn from my grandma and learn, you know, I understand like she's a great resource I should learn from, but like it seemed like all they were doing was like tearing me down. I didn't make the whole thing. And like, I remember coming out of that pre-judging practically in tears. And then I ended up winning a judge's award because they loved my makeup. The one part of it I actually did, which is fair. That's fine. Like that is a valid award to win for that competition, for my makeup alone. That's fine. I'm totally fine with that. But just like performing itself was really good, like really fun, that one competition. But then also like second, I have to say like this last one just recently in Virginia at Big Lick Comic-Con. It was a smaller con, but it had a really big contest. Like there were a lot of entries and they had really good judges. Like they were really qualified, really good judges. Pre-judging went great. Like I finally like had like my spiel finally went smoothly. Like I wasn't like shaking during when I was talking. I know that sounds weird to say that I get nervous doing pre-judging and like my voice shakes, but it does. But I didn't at this con. And like I explained everything well. They loved my book of all my progress pictures and everything. But like there were so many really, really, really good cosplays. Like I did not expect to win anything. And I was saying to my dad, like during deliberation, that like I would have been thrilled for a judge's award. If I won anything, I would have been just thrilled. And I ended up winning Best Journeyman, which is insane because I thought that the girl I was standing next to in line was going to win Best Journeyman because she had won like Best Journeyman, Best in Show previously at that con, and her cosplay was phenomenal. But they, I guess, really liked my cosplay. They liked all the work I put into it. They loved my book. Like they gave a lot of points for documentation. They even gave out an award for best documentation to someone else, and I thought that was great. But I did not expect to win anything, and I come home with the Best Journeyman trophy. Like it was amazing.
That's good. That's good. Congratulations, buddy.
And that was the con I met Dante Basco at. So like, yeah, that was a great weekend.
That sounds amazing.
Hmm.
So what tips or advice could you give to a first-time cosplayer?
I really think just have fun. Cosplay is supposed to be fun, and I know I'm all about competing and I'm all about craftsmanship, but in the end, like take it seriously, but don't take it too seriously where every cosplay you're crying over it. I know that's a common joke, you literally put your blood, sweat, and tears into cosplays, but it's you'll have some tough moments where things aren't working out and you're trying to put something together and you just break down, and I get that, but it's just have fun. That's the most important thing. Cosplay characters you like or characters you love or just anyone you want to cosplay. Don't let your body get in the way of a cosplay. You don't have to look just like a character. I mean, that's the whole we can shape shift, with a little makeup and a wig, you're a new person. And yeah, I think it's just have fun. And of course, like any other community, there's going to be some toxic people, there's going to be some elitists, try to stay away from them, ignore that, and just we're all there to have fun. We're all doing this for fun.
I think that's some sound words of advice to go off of for everybody who's not only if it's their first time, but just any cosplayer in general. And just thank you for that. But I want to thank you for being on. Thank you for taking the time out and joining me on Blerdkast. And I hope this was a fun interview. I had fun, and this was very entertaining.
This is great. I mean, I could blabber on for hours.
Yeah, me too. Because I'm like, I got like a whole other small list of questions. Like I can go on and keep asking you questions, but I have to go make dinner.
Oh, you haven't eaten dinner yet? Oh my gosh.
I haven't. I swear I've been sitting here editing podcasts and videos. Like
go eat.
I mean, but it's like that. Like when you're working on something you're passionate about, you just like everything else can wait. And I realized, like, oh crap, I've been up since 7 o'clock this morning. I haven't eaten anything.
Oh my gosh, how do you? I have to eat breakfast and I have to eat lunch. Like I can't. Like I'll sometimes I'll get really busy at like work and forget to eat lunch. But like, oh my gosh, I always have to eat like at least 2 meals a day. Maybe I shouldn't actually. Maybe I should. Never mind. But yeah, I mean, go eat. I'm always the one making sure my friends have eaten. Like feeding people is one of my love languages. Like every paintball game, I bake a baked item of some kind to bring with me to feed my tank crew and our friends there. Like I'm inviting my friends over tomorrow night for St. Patty's Day because it's an excuse for me to make Irish stew and beer bread and beer cheese. Oh, my roommate's calling me. All right, well, I should probably go get back to my roommate because she's trying to call me.
All right, that's fine. Let me just end the podcast here. Thank you for coming on and being a guest, and just thank you for being an amazing cosplayer. Your cosplay is always amazing.
Thanks for having me on.
No problem. I love your personality. I love who you are as a person. I love working with you. You don't understand how much joy comes to my face when I get to do a photo shoot, regardless of what it is. Where can everybody else find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram, uncgwhoviangirl, uncgwhovian girl. I'm also on TikTok. Not all of my cosplay stuff is on TikTok. It's pretty random, but I'm also on there. So yeah, Instagram and TikTok.
All right, and this has been Blerdkast. You can follow Blerdkast on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, as well as Google Podcasts, and come to other podcast platforms near you. That was a lot to say. And you can also follow me on social media at Blerdography on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. And this has been a fun episode. Thank you guys for listening, and see you next time.